Just a quick update. I've been reading and I've heard some rumours that this fight's off for me and Wilder. Not on my watch, it ain't. I'm not pulling out on nothing. It's on like Donkey Kong. Tyson Fury is like Hakeem coming to America. I'm just taking some much needed rest after a 9-month training camp, but I will resume training September the 1st, and that'll leave me 9-10 weeks to prepare. I'm already fit, I'm already ready, no weight to lose. I'm coming for Wilder's belt.
You know, they're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show. I do know we are late. I do deeply apologize. We have the cable guy here fixing everything because all of our cable crapped out. So in order to do like live fight chats and everything like that a little more efficiently, obviously needed that fixed. So that was here, obviously, right when the usual showtime is. Exactly at 2 p.m. he showed up. So we had to push the show back. But don't worry about that. We're here. Don't worry about it. We're going to be live, obviously, the same time as usual tomorrow and the rest of the week. And then obviously following that with our usual schedule on Patreon for Sunday show for championship rounds, etc. Remember, if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, share the show. If you're listening on podcasts, on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or etc., leave a review, hit the like button, share the show. You know, the same. It all helps. If you want to join the movement a little bit more, remember, you can always join at patreon.com/mixcombatradio. But we're here, obviously, to discuss a litany of combat sports topics, fight announcements, news, beef, whatever it may be. We've been off for almost a week now. I mean, first off, shots at me. I do deeply apologize for that. Usually I'm a little more punctual about that. What else? But obviously, you know, Wilder, Tyson Fury, is it off? Is it not off? Now Tyson Fury is saying that he's signed his contract. A lot of news coming out in the last few days, so we're going to try to cover it all. Obviously, if you listened at the very beginning of the show, you did hear a little soundbite from Tyson Fury. We are going to play that again in case you are tuning in as we are coming in live right now. And if you are, watching on YouTube, yes, this is the new studio setup. You saw it on Saturday with Santiago, and you've seen it maybe once before. I don't know about that. But yes, this is the new studio. I got paintings up here. Obviously the GOAT Ali. We got 200 plus UFC posters in a collage over there. There's another painting right there. But we're gonna move everything around. The old spot where the desk was and everything like that, that's gonna be taken away. That's gonna be a green screen area. It's coming along.
Any of you radio
I'm just saying.
Think you want smoke?
Just saying.
Just saying. I want smoke.
But yes, obviously, shout out to everyone in the chat. Bayside Boxing, Unbiased Boxing, Rob, a.k.a. Rob Hearn, a.k.a. Rob Retherwall, a.k.a. UK Rob at TBV. Go check him out over at the Boxing Voice. Ivan Diaz, I'll get to your questions in a second, Ivan, because I do like, you asking about that. Dr. Mafungo in the chat. Oh, my God. Good friend. How are you doing, Doctor? I hope you are doing well. It's been a bit. It's been a while. Bayside Box and Ellie. Fern, Aaron Munoz. Aaron just joining Patreon in the last week. Shout out to you. Fighter IQ, a.k.a. Ron the Mastermind. Go check out his personal channel, Fighter IQ. And obviously, he is one of the new hosts at TBV. Shout out to him. And Real Nija and Kyle coming in very early in the chat before the show even started, saying that they're not going to be able to listen to it live, but they were here, so shout out to them as well. Just air horns for everyone. And when Nija listens on playback, I know that we would definitely annoy her. But I've been asking, how was my kiddo's birthday? He was good. It was really good. Sunday, we did like the family thing, down by the beach. Opened all his presents. That was fun. Did a lot of Legos. God, so many Legos. But it's fun. He's in like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World stage, so it's all dinosaur stuff. So that's fun. I like dinosaurs. I mean, what adult male does not like dinosaurs? And what guy growing up in basically the start of Jurassic Park? I think Jurassic Park came out the year I was born, which is kind of scary. So I've always liked the Jurassic Park franchise. I always thought it was one of the better pop culture franchises around, to be honest. So that's fun. And then on Monday, I should say, we went to the National History Museum in L.A. Haven't been there in years. Man, he ran through everything. Wanted to go to the gift shop, but we did have a good time still. And it's been a good time. But thank you for asking about that, Ivan. But let's get to the news, 'cause I know that's why most of you are here. And also, just to let you know, because we did this on not the live fight chat. We did this on the immediate reaction show on Saturday. We just took calls whenever. And I know a bunch of podcasters that are in this industry that sort of do that. I'm going to kind of copy that. I think it's nice. So if you want to call in at any time in the show, 323-870-4051. I do not have an international lineup today. I do apologize. But yes, definitely go call in, press 1 at any time in the show, whenever you want to talk about, and I will go to you. So even if you're in the middle of a topic, whatever it is, if I see your number on the queue, I will go to it. So do not worry about that. Do not worry about waiting very long. Do not worry about waiting for the MMA side of the show, which is in the second half of the show. Don't worry about any of that. If you want to call in and you want to talk about anything, it can be anything. I really don't care. This is a daily show, so we're going to be here every day, Monday through Friday, to talk about the sport that you love. So if there's something that I'm not even addressing, call in, address it. Let's talk about it. Let's debate it. Or if you want me to shut up and you just go on a rant, tell me that. This is a platform for you guys as well. But let's get into, obviously, the main topic of the show, which is Wilder and good old Tyson Fury. And let's play the clip one more time, though, just because I know some people may have, come in a little bit late, and plus it's just 30 seconds. So really the start of, before I actually play that clip, this all started with Dan Rafael. So let's go to Dan Rafael's actual shit that started this all, which was Dan basically saying on his, what I don't know what he calls it, the chat shit. Rob saying, so Matt, how did you find KSI Logan Paul? Still waiting on my apology. Rob, I'm never going to apologize for that. You deserve shit for going to KSI Logan Paul, even though I paid the $10 for pay-per-view. Yeah, I deserve that. I deserve some more. I just felt dirty saying it. But digressing, Dan Rafael responding to one of his chatters in his Friday chat, whatever it's called, and the person asking, do you give Fury a legit chance against Wilder? I can see him winning a boring decision, but also Wilder decapitating him. Dan responding saying, I think you have to make Wilder the favorite, but can Fury win? Sure. But the latest from Fury's team is that he is now apparently balking at the fight. I was told that yesterday by a member of his management team. Oh, God. I think this came out Friday, right? So we went to that, right? So that kind of broke. And even though, I don't know why Dan does this, but Dan breaks so much news on this chat shit when it could be articles. And I feel like it doesn't get the hype and the due and the push it should. Because this should have been headline news everywhere, and it wasn't. I saw maybe TBV report on it. I saw maybe Ego, maybe Dante report on it. But nobody really was reporting on this. And then, obviously, Tyson Fury comes out and says this in response to it via his social media account.
Just a quick update. I've been reading and I've heard some rumours that this fight's off for me and Wilder. Not on my watching, eh? I'm not pulling out on nothing. It's on like Donkey Kong. Tyson Fury is like Hakeem coming to America. I'm just taking some much needed rest after a 9-month training camp, but I will resume training September the 1st, and that'll leave me 9-10 weeks to prepare. I'm already fit, I'm already ready, no weight to lose. I'm coming for Wilder's belt.
Yeah, so obviously that's what Tyson comes back and says that no, that's quote unquote fake news, whatever it is. And then this came out. When did it come out? Today, via the Daily Mail over in the UK, and let's actually so you guys can see it over on YouTube. Let me transition to it so you guys can see what's going on. There you go. This is the article, so if you want to go find it yourself, you can. But there's actually the line somewhere. Hold on, let me find it. I do apologize. There you go. Fury responded, "They sent me the contract, and I've signed it and sent it back." So, who do you want to believe? Are we going to believe Dan Rafael? Are we going to believe Tyson Fury? It is what it is. I'll be honest. I think the questioning of Tyson Fury's camp, I didn't go into this in the article, but it does go into this, about them and MTK questioning who is the source. Tell us the source. Dan's not going to give you the source, and he shouldn't. And to sit there and go, "Oh, Dan, tell us who it was," then you clearly don't understand journalism at all. And clear rights and protections that journalists have and their sources have. So I do believe he had a source telling him that. Was it true? No, I think it's not true. I think sources put out misinformation out there. I think there's sometimes maybe you're talking to a low-level guy in MTK and he is not as privy to the information as some others, and he gives out just false information because that's what he knows and may just be incorrect information. But to go and to question that Dan Rafael should release who this person is just fucking ridiculous on every single level. Now, tabling that, who is right, who is most likely right here, I think Tyson Fury is right. You don't say that you signed a contract and sent it back if you didn't do that. I just feel like that makes little to no sense from a PR standpoint to do that. Because, to be honest, the little Instagram video itself was enough. Like, if you wanted to, subdue the fire that is you balking at this fight, then that little Instagram, whatever it was, video, that's really enough of what you need to do. To go then that step further and say, no, they sent me a contract, I've signed it, and I've sent it to them, I think we should probably believe that. And on top of that, I don't think Showtime and BT Sports would have posters, promos, so much media content already made if this fight wasn't really in the bag. I just don't see that as a likely possibility. Now, maybe you out there disagree with me on that. Again, call in 323-870-4051 or leave a comment below if I'm wrong, if you disagree, or if you agree. Tell me I'm right. I can always love that. But in terms of, who is right here, who is most likely right here, I think Tyson's side is most likely right here, which, we don't say that often, but I think it's true here. I think Dan just got faulty intel, which happens, and we now have a confirmation that a contract has been sent and signed by Tyson Fury. So it seems like the fight is signed, sealed, and delivered, and we're getting it sometime in November in Las Vegas. So either you hate it or love it. But let's move on to some more news of the day. And obviously keeping it on Wilder adjacent, coming from good old badlefthook.com, Eddie Hearn saying White the favorite to face Joshua in April. And on top of that, saying that that Dylan White facing a Joe Miller or a Dominic Brazil in December or November is most likely. And the winner of that fight actually fighting Joshua in April. And obviously, White being the favorite in Hearn's eye to win both that December fight and the fight with Joshua in April. And let's be honest, if they really wanted to, they could probably just skip that December fight and put White in there. I'm not going to rake Eddie Hearn and them over the coals for this whole topic because you guys have done that enough. Like, this is clearly ridiculous. Like, you can't say that White's the favorite in this matchup. And I know he's going on saying, well, Wilder's team's not talking to us. Okay? So the negotiations aren't easy. You want a pat on the back there, Eddie? No, I think the fans want this fight now. They wanted it in September. And then it was pushed back to October, November. And then it was pushed back now to April. I think the fans are kind of getting sick of it. And I know that you're probably thinking, if you're Eddie Hearn, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, now we have Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, which probably is a net positive for them and AJ, let's be honest. If you're Eddie, you're thinking Wilder, Tyson Fury fighting each other is only a good thing for us. Like, the winner of that fight will drastically add more value to the AJ matchup. And yes, you can go on about how the split might be more even at that point. But I think the overall gross revenue of the event goes up. I think it just does. So I don't think Eddie has any problem with Wilder Fury happening. And if you're Eddie, you're thinking, why not keep pushing it back? Like, the monetary gain doesn't go away. And unfortunately, we have no evidence to the contrary. Like, we do have evidence of fights never happening because they just keep getting pushed back and it just never happens. We do have that. But we never have evidence of a fight being pushed back, quote-unquote, marinating, and then them losing potential revenue. That just is not a factual aspect of what we're talking about here. You may talk about it, it's just not, there's no factual basis of that point. So if you want to call in 323-870-4051, press 1 and talk about that, sure, go ahead. But again, there's just no statistical basis of that. The fight where that happened the most happens to be the biggest pay-per-view of all time. So I'm not surprised that Eddie is saying that, oh, we can fight White in April. That's a favorite. Yeah, we want to do that. Why not? The consumers won't say no to it. I think AJ Povetkin's going to do just fine. Pay-per-view wise, ticket sales wise, even though they're kind of being a little bit, in terms of ticket sales, a little bit slower this time than Parker. That's obvious. Parker was a unification. Parker was undefeated. There was a little more hype around that fight. This one's not that. Parker was at least, talking a little bit as a B-side. Povetkin's not going to do that. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to make the money just fine in this one. And then Dylan White with the Lucas Brown fight, the Joseph Parker fight, I think he has sort of catapulted himself back into this position much faster than some of us thought. And almost in a legitimate stance, too, because I think Dylan White is a legit contender to either AJ and Wilder. Like, those are good fights. I want to see those fights. But we all want to see AJ versus Wilder first. Like, we are in the process of unifying and having a true undisputed champion. And now with Tyson Fury directly in this line of AJ and Wilder happening, it makes it even better, in my opinion. Because now you have that lineal, air quotes lineal, because Lennox gave it up in 2002. And we bestowed it upon Vladimir Klitschko and Chigayev winner in 2011. So, in theory, yeah, the lineal champion in Tyson Fury is now in this mix. When we thought he wasn't going to be added to this for another 2 or 3 years. Bayside Boxing saying AJ versus Big Baby is what Hearn wants. White was just concussed versus Parker in a fight before AJ could go very badly. Yeah, but then obviously, I mean, if that's the case, where if you're Eddie Hearn, you don't want to put Dylan White against Jarrell Miller before the AJ fight, you can just skip the Jarrell Miller fight and put White in there. And Dylan White versus AJ is a bigger fight than Jarrell Miller versus AJ, at least in terms of monetary growth or potential, in my opinion. I think Jarrell Miller is obviously a fight that we all want to see at some point, but Dylan White is a little bit more of a draw at this point. We just know that. First off, he is now a domestic UK pay-per-view draw. We know that. He's a ticket draw as a headliner domestically. And you can argue, yes, domestically, but it doesn't matter when they're making $10 million plus, $20 million plus on these events. Like it doesn't matter. It's going to be more costly to take these fighters to the U.S. possibly for these types of matchups. Like AJ versus Dylan White in New York or Las Vegas or LA makes no monetary sense instead of London. They're going to make more money in London than those other markets, even though those markets are bigger. But yes, leave a comment below. AJ, Dylan White, is it happening in April? Are we getting a December fight of Dylan White versus Dominic Brazil, Dylan White versus Jerry Miller? Is the AJ Wilder fight permanently dead at this point? Is it done? Is it Jonathan? That's funny, man. Saying why not put your feet up, Matt? Get a munch on. No, I might with the callers, but we have no callers. Again, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. But yes, leave a comment below with what you think is going to happen with this whole heavyweight saga. And even in conjunction with Wilder Fury, is that happening in December all together? It's just a heavyweight mess, but it is what it is. But let's get to the next topic of the day because we do have a ton of information to get to. And also sticking to heavyweight topics, Hughie Fury versus Kubrat Pulev seems to be completely official for October 27th in Sofia, Bulgaria. I don't know about you, but I'm actually kind of hyped about this. I really like this fight. Obviously, I think Joe Miller versus Pulev would have made more sense in the short term, but Hughie Fury getting a potential win against Kubrat Pulev, I think does a lot of good things for Hughie Fury. I think he potentially will be a good little challenger to the AJs and the Wilders of the world moving into the next 3 or 4 years. So that's something I would really like to see is obviously Hughie Fury get that win. Going to be interesting to see what it's like there in Bulgaria, what sort of pop the crowd gives Pulev. It's going to be interesting to see that because I don't think I've ever seen Pulev fight in Bulgaria. Because I think when he fought Vladimir, that was in Germany, I want to say, like Hamburg. And there's probably a lot of Bulgarians there, but come on, Klitschko was beloved in Germany. But definitely I think that's going to be a fun little stylistic boxing match at the heavyweight division. Two really tall guys, rangy guys with good jabs. I think Hughie has the better footwork, a little more agile. Pulev a little more traditional, a little more of that Soviet amateur style. But definitely going to be a fun little boxing match at the heavyweight division. Moving on, going to talk about some numbers. Ray Beltran versus Jose Pedraza in the ESPN telecast, averaging 532,000 viewers, which is low. It's definitely not that great, which is lower than the prior two-fight show in Atlantic City, which did 686,000 viewers. Definitely upsetting to see, and we're going to get to the UFC cards numbers later, but those weren't that great either. They were around the same amount, and it's just weird. Obviously this is just Ray Beltran and Jose Pedraza. These aren't big names. Michaela Mayer is really an unknown commodity at this point that they're hoping is a long-term potential star. Isaac Dogboe is a complete unknown in the U.S. market. Let's be honest here, even though we all here on this show probably love Isaac Dogboe because I know that I do because the guy's fucking phenomenal. And overall, their summer telecasts have been low. Like none of them have broken, I think, the 700,000 mark. This is concerning, in my opinion. But then again, the UFC card didn't do that well. Like no combat sport entity or event did well that day, except for KSI versus Logan Paul. Over in the UK, they did like 800,000 pay-per-view buys, 5 million views, whatever it did. Some insane number. 20,000 plus in the arena. That was the biggest event of the weekend, and it seemed like every casual, that extra 250,000, that extra 300,000, right? That would put this event at, let's say, 730 or 830, which makes it look a little bit better, right? Like, not great, but that's respectable, I think, viewership for this card if it were to get that. That extra 200,000 people, 300,000 people, I think they were just not tired out, but they got their fight fix with Logan Paul, KSI, I guess. Like, I don't know what it was. I'm not clued in on the mainstream stick and ball sports like most people are, so I don't know if Saturday had a ton of NFL preseason games. I don't know if Saturday had baseball games. I don't know. I'll be honest. Maybe somebody in the chat, somebody in the comment section will let me know. Bayside said people were watching preseason NFL games and MLB is getting close to playoffs. Yeah, but people don't care about MLB for like another week or two. Come on. That's what everyone that actually cares about baseball tells me. But NFL games, I'll give you that. If there was a preseason or a couple preseason games concurrently at those show times, yeah, that's hard to beat. You know, luckily, even though we sort of fight with college football games, we don't fight with NFL games in the regular season. That's a Sunday, Monday, and Thursday televised sport. So us as a, even though we do like the occasional like Thursday show, like fights on like PBC on FS1, we usually only have Saturday and Friday events. So we never compete with the NFL except for preseason. But even then, Bayside Boxing, even though I will give you that, this entire summer has felt like an entire ratings drop for not only boxing, but for the UFC. Nothing has done extremely well. Even like big fights, like Mike Garcia versus Robert Easter Jr. That didn't do that great. Like, I was expecting that to almost break 1 million. Like, I was really expecting that to hit like 800, 880, 950, maybe 1 million. And it just didn't do that. It did like 600 something. Like, I think it topped out, I think it peaked at over 7. But that wasn't an insane viewership for a fight that seems like it would do more, especially for the payout these fighters are getting. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. These are relatively big fights that are just not getting viewed, not getting watched. When we relatively have had a good rise in the sport as well. Like, viewerships are up. I feel like pay-per-view numbers are up. Overall interest in exposure for the sport is up. But the last 3 months, this summertime has just been a dead period. Again, maybe I'm not going to say maybe. I guarantee you there's smarter people out there that know the reason why or the compounding reasons as to why that is. But, yeah, it happened. I mean, Ray Beltran, Jose Pedraza, a really good fight. Isaac Dogbe coming out with a first-round knockout that looked fantastic. Even Michaela Mayer, I think, looking good, even though he got called off early. 530,000 people watched that. 5 million watched KSI Logan Paul, at least. And that's not even counting the illegal views. You know, you go on there, that YouTube video that showed the fight, it's 5 million views. It's just rather insane to sort of think about the difference in visibility and economics there. JD Maxon, have you got Skype, bro? No, I did not. No, I did not. Patreon.com/Mixed Comment Radio. I do think I need a new piece of hardware and device that I tried going the cheaper way and didn't help out. Bayside Boxing and VIP League is ruining viewership. That's possible, man. That's possible. But let's move on. Ellie asking, where's the 150 mil figure coming from this KSI thing? It would probably be, I don't know if that figure is true. I haven't seen that figure. But if that number has been thrown out by reputable sources and sites, it's probably from the pay-per-view, buy rate, and gate. And sponsorships. Sponsorships are probably huge for this event. The gaming industry, that whole market, that's obviously connected to these guys, so there's money there. So, again, 800,000 pay-per-view buys. I think it's probably more than that, to be honest. I know that was a number thrown out to begin with. But I think that was only thrown out because people just saw the concurrent live viewers at a single time and thought, oh, it's 800,000. That's it. But the total was 5 million. If that's a 5 million pay-per-view buy rate event at $10 a pop, that's a lot of money. And then on top of that gate, on top of that sponsors and ads and everything. Because you got to think about this. It's not just the pay-per-view they got off this event. It's also the ad rates. Because a 5 million viewership video on YouTube, that does a good amount of money, especially if the engagement rate's really high in terms of the like to dislike ratio, in terms of the comments. You can make a lot of money with a 5 million plus video. And then on top of that, you had to pay $10 to watch it. I wouldn't be surprised. Ellie asking questions saying, what do you think Canelo Triple G does in terms of views, in terms of pay-per-view buys? Because remember, views and buys are different. That's why I am particular about my wordage with the KSI Logan Paul event doing 5 million views. Because we don't know how many of those views translate to buys. Because you could have just watched the event and it just ran the preview show basically in a loop until you bought the event. But that counts as a view. You're watching ads. So again, I don't know how that works out for that particular event. But for Triple G Canelo terrestrial pay-per-view, it's probably doing over 1 million, just like the first one. I don't know if it does the same. First one did around 1.3 to 1.8. This one probably does a similar number, maybe more towards the 1.3 side, but that's probably what it does. And that's going to be for around, $80 a pop, I think is the price tag for Canelo Triple G. So that's going to be absolutely fun, let's be honest. Jonathan saying, just breaking out some of the numbers, interesting in terms of Buffer apparently getting 2 to 5 million. Hey man, get paid. Get paid. But let's go on to some more news of the day. Remember, calling in 323-870-4051. Press 1, call in anytime. I will go to you. Speaking of that card and Isaac Dogbe is saying he's going to return in December, says the advisor. And for the date, December 1st or December 8th, that is most likely the Lomachenko Jose Pedraza card, which would make a lot of sense to sort of pair them up in terms of Isaac Dogbe fighting on this card already with Jose Pedraza. They're going to probably need about the same time off, same amount of time for training camp. Makes sense, throw them on the same card with Lomachenko. And also on top of that, because it's Lomachenko, it's probably going to do much better viewership than this event. So hopefully Isaac Dogbe finally gets a little bit more shine instead of basically having his fight have to be shown again. And it was lucky enough to get a first-round knockout to where they could do that because ESPN was playing, I think it was college football or something before the event. So God knows what. Gunshots at ESPN. Come on. Let's move on because not much to talk about that subject, obviously. But again, just sort of to look out. Isaac Dogbe most likely being on the card with Lomachenko and Jose Pedraza in December. And also to sort of confirm more and more information and reports coming out. Usyk's promoter saying that Belly fight on track for November 10th. Not really much to report here other than it's more and more news coming out that it is most likely November 10th in London. Tony Bellew versus Alexander Usyk. I love it. I'm happy with that. So, whatever, whenever or wherever it happens, I don't care. That is a fantastic fucking fight. I'm hyped for that. Moving on, Warrington versus Frampton in play for late December in Manchester, which I was kind of surprised by because Josh Warrington being from Leeds, I believe, made more sense to sort of put him in that city, in that venue, make him sort of the hometown favorite. But you do have Carl Frampton, so this is probably just a neutral location in their mind, which I don't really fault them, but I think it would have been better to have either this event in Belfast or in Leeds. Make it in one of their hometowns. I know this is a unification. I get it. But still, it would have made more sense for this to happen in a particular guy's hometown. Get that sort of, I don't know, hometown fever and build up and hype around it. And plus, I think it would have helped for overall pay-per-view buy rates. Bayside saying Frampton versus Warrington is the biggest UK fight in a long time. I don't think you've been watching boxing for that long then, unless a long time to you is like a year, 2 years. Are we gonna act like AJ Klitschko didn't just happen? George Groves versus Carl Froch 2 didn't just happen. I mean, come on. But moving on, some more news. Srisaket making his first title defense versus some guy. I don't even know. Named Medina. But Yorin Ancajas going to be in the co-main, 115-pound champion. Filipino guy that's really been compared to Manny Pacquiao a lot by ESPN, which has just been kind of absurd. But interesting to see that Srisaket started getting poached by ESPN Plus. A guy that was just fighting on Showtime was beating the Durrell brothers, not the Durrell brothers, just Andre Durrell. Kind of interesting to see that he has now left Showtime, gone to ESPN, a competitor to now Showtime in a real drastic way. Going to be interesting to see what they can really push or how they can push him and how far he can go, because I think he is a really fantastic, fun fighter. Even though he is not really an English speaker, even though I think he may not have the cookie cutter way of cookie cutter profile of a fighter that's easy for ESPN to promote or Top Rank to promote. I think he's a fun, exciting, all-action fighter that should produce great content for ESPN. Like, he should produce highlight reel, either flurries, combinations, knockouts. He should do that, in my opinion. Even on the losing side, I think he would produce great, fun fights. But just interesting to see, again, the network battle that is ESPN, DAZN, Showtime, and then HBO just out there just playing Frisbee by themselves, Like that GIF, was it The Simpsons? It's that, of the kid just throwing the Frisbee with himself. That's HBO. Poor HBO. So sad. Moving on, per Gray Johnson over at BoxRec saying Ken Shiro would defend his WBC 108-pound title against Milan Melendo on November 7th in Yokohama, Japan. That's also the Nue Piano undercard. Oh, God, thank you. This is a fantastic matchup. Again, Ken Shiro and Milan Melendo. And on top of that, as a co-main to Inoue versus Piano. Fantastic. Thank you, boxing gods. And I accidentally deleted the tab, but per Gray Johnson as well. Terrence Crawford versus Jose Pedraza. Terrence Crawford versus Jose Pedraza is in the works. And I think Alberto Machado will be on that card as well, and maybe some other names attached to it. But interesting to see sort of that event maybe materialize, that news sort of start to unravel, that Terrence Crawford's fighting Jose Pedraza, which is the industry's worst kept secret, but yet has really not done a lot of reporting on it, let's be honest. But yeah, let's move on to some more news of the day. Back to good old Curtis Harper, which we kind of touched on Saturdays and media reaction shows, obviously. But per Ryan Sangali, Curtis Harper tells him that he declined to be interviewed at the moment, but says, I will state that I had every intention on fighting if I had been given a copy of the contract prior to the fight like I had requested and warranted by law. #boxing. And I know there's been a lot of backlash against this guy. When I really don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest. Like, fighters don't get paid for training when they should. So maybe not in this case particularly, because he's talking about contract disputes and all that, which is a whole different topic. But let's say if you're an injured fighter, you just found a loophole in the system. Because Curtis Harper probably got paid. I hope you know that. Or at least he should have. Because per the contracts, the fight, you get paid once the fight's over. If the fight doesn't happen, you don't get paid, right? The fight happened. The bell rung. He was ruled disqualified in like 3 seconds. So technically speaking, Curtis Harper should have got paid. I have yet to see any reporting that he did in fact get paid. But let's say he did, just for argument's sake. That is the biggest loophole in the contract ever. Because if you're an injured fighter with a torn ACL, you don't want to go fight, but you want to get paid for the, let's say, 6 weeks of training camp you had, whatever it was. You want to pay your trainer, pay some bills because you're a poor fighter that's on the mid-card. Go in there in the ring and just walk out after the bell's rung. Why not? Why not? You're going to get paid. You might get some backlash with the promoter, but hey, there's this loophole in the system in the contract. Promoters fix the contract. Either start paying people for training camp a little bit, give them a stipend, AKA Fighters Association, but, it's just a different topic entirely. But it is just, it's hilarious to me. Now, obviously for him, if it's true that he just didn't have a contract, I mean, how do you defend that? Like, fighters should be able to see their contract, know what it is, let alone other fighters' contracts. Like, I think if you are supposed to fight a guy, you should know what he's getting paid. You should know what his deal is. You should. Why not? You're fighting him. So to not know your own contract, I think is insane. So if that's the case, I don't blame him. I really don't. But anyways, just want to sort of point that out there. Whether it's true or not, God knows. Hopefully more reporting happens. But if it is, damn. Yeah, that shit's messy. Moving on. Again, call in anytime, 323-870-4051. We're going to slowly transition to MMA with this topic. So, again, if you want to call in now and not have to listen to MMA or anything, you can do it right now. Just call in. Again, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. But good old Damon Martin. Where is he at now? MMAnews.com. Saying Floyd Mayweather invites Conor McGregor to train together ahead of his upcoming fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 229. And then, this in and of itself isn't news. Let's be honest. Like, there's much better news we can get to. But then Brett Okamoto decided to add to it, saying they link up in Vegas at Mayweather's gym. Photos leak, stories follow of a friendly sparring match that got out of hand. Maybe Conor surprised Floyd with a takedown. His security stepped in. Rematch talks swirl. What are the odds, Patty? What are the odds? Now, obviously, this is unlikely. Can we say unlikely when it comes to anything that's Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor? Like, the idea that they would fight in the first place was unlikely. A rematch is unlikely, but God, Brett, damn it. Like, that, I can see that happening. Like, I mean, can you not see that happening where we all of a sudden get this version of reality where in, 2 weeks or so, Mayweather and McGregor, pictures leak of them sparring, and there's a picture of Mayweather on the ground, a la the Pauly picture. You don't have the legion of casual fucking Conor McGregor nut huggers that are saying, oh, Conor knocked down Mayweather in sparring. Put on the rematch. He's learned. Blah, 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 blah. We can all see it. Can we not? So I'm not going to say it's unlikely anymore. But let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope that this version of reality that Brett Okamoto of ESPN put out there is not a reality we have to see in our lifetime or ever. And let's hope that other alternate universes and realities don't have to deal with this. I hope there's not a single universe or alternative reality out there that has this happen. I feel bad for them, and I pray for them. And if it's us in our reality, damn you MMA gods and boxing gods, because you fucking bastards. You bastards. But let's move into some more news. Bayside Boxing saying Paulie's so mad about that. Yeah, he is. He really is mad about that. That was pretty funny. What was that? Was it last week? When did Paulie get mad about that? Did I talk about that on the show? Let me know in the chat if I talked about Paulie and McGregor going back at it on Twitter. I think I talked about that on the show. But anyways, digressing. Nothing is official, but Brian Ortega says Max Holloway bout has been offered for UFC 231. I don't know how. I don't know how I feel about this. Let's get to Brian Ortega's actual comment specifically, because he actually talked about this to MMA Junkie. So let's get to Brian Ortega's specific words on the matter, because it was actually, first off, pretty funny. Secondly, it's better to always get it from the horse's mouth with this one. Per Brian Ortega, MMA Junkie.
Brian, we've seen the reports out there. I don't know if
yeah, I've seen them too, man. MMA Junkie posted something up. I was like, okay, beat me to the punch.
Well, I was gonna say, are you able to talk about it? I mean, is it official yet?
No, nothing's official, man. Trust me, I'm always the kind of guy. Till I sign the contract, I'm the first one to post it out there. But there's years in the game who hear things, you know, and yeah, it's true. We got the call, and they offered us to fight in December. I said yes. I'm not too sure exactly where. I think they're pushing for Toronto. So it's just up in the air. December's up in the air. And I'm sure Max received the same call. I haven't heard anything from his side yet. But it looks like it's gonna happen. It looks like it's gonna happen.
If it does, I mean, if that ends up being the date, are you okay with that date, that location? I mean, does that work for you?
The date and location work for me. The only thing is, I heard Canada has like a law where felons can't come in. So I don't know how the homies from the hood are gonna come out and make it. So that might be a situation. You know what I'm saying? I got some family members who might not be able to make it, but coach telling me to stop. Just gotta keep it real. So we gotta see, you know what I'm saying?
But yeah, let's we can stop that right now. But yeah, that was pretty good over there from Brian Ortega about the homies in the hood and not being able to go to Canada maybe. But that could be an issue, obviously. And obviously, if it is Max Holloway for a title, you would want like your whole family there, all your friends there. It's that type of event where you'd want it. I feel like he's not going to get his way, though. I feel like this fight is going to end up in Toronto with the way the schedule is looking. And on top of that, I want to get to it, but I think Ellie is talking about it. When she says, I hope not, in terms of the fight happening. And I said, I have reservations about the fight happening. Obviously, Max Holloway's health issues, whether they be unknown, whatever it is concerning. And when you start talking about concussion-like symptoms, in a sport where you literally punch each other in the head, it's always going to be up in terms of the concern level and in terms of the worry level. And on top of that, you have a guy like Max Holloway who is, I think, extremely likable. Like I think Max Holloway, even if you're a boxing fan listening to the show and you have a casual understanding of MMA, I think you even probably know who Max Holloway is, and you think he's a cool guy that you would want to have a beer with or go surfing with in Hawaii. Like, he's that type of guy. And for him to sort of get thrown back in here in a fight, and again, I don't know if it's too soon. I don't know. It feels like it is. But I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not going to sit here and say that is too soon. I'm not going to say that with any sort of certainty. But it feels like it from a fan perspective. It feels like it's too soon for Max Holloway. I would like him to almost take like a year off. for any time for there to be a interim champion, this is the time, right here. Put Ortega versus Jose Aldo for the interim champion, and you know what? We'll deal with it. We're gonna move along. But to throw Max Holloway in there, 6 months after he literally had to be taken off of a fight because he was passing out, couldn't talk, had blurred vision, slurred speech. There's a lot to be concerned about with a guy like that, with all those health risks, and then coming into a fight, especially against Brian Ortega. This isn't boxing, unfortunately. This is the one case where boxing sort of has the cultural understanding of this situation where you don't throw a guy that's just coming off concussion-like symptoms, CTE-like symptoms, in there with the number one guy in the division other than you. You give him a tune-up. And unfortunately, the UFC does not operate that way. I don't think Max operates that way. So we're just not going to get that. We're going to get Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega in Toronto, Canada, UFC 231, which while by itself is a great fight. Let's table that. It is a fantastic matchup. It's going to be hard and almost gut-wrenching the entire build-up to that fight, because the entire time we're thinking in the back of our mind, is this the time? Is this the time where we see a fighter really get hurt in the cage in the UFC? Because luckily, in the UFC, we have never had a Patrick Malone-like instance. We never had a Penny Bratz-like instance. We never had anything like that in the UFC. Ortega's a former PED user too. Yes, he is based at boxing. But you know me, I don't give a fuck about that. But digressing from that rabbit hole. If you're Max Holloway, if you're in his team, this maybe you step in here. And maybe you don't. Maybe you're looking at Max, and again, I'm not on the ground. I don't know what he's like day to day. I don't know if it's it's Max's back 100%, and that was a weird instance of maybe just him being too weight drained. I don't know. And then again, if it's an issue of being weight drained and lacking water to your brain, basically, does doing another weight cut help that? No, it doesn't. It actually hurts that. And should Max just move up to lightweight at this point just for his own health? Probably. You know what? A lot of fighters should probably move up a weight class for their own health, but they don't. So until we actually put systemic institutional reasons and enforcement of those sort of regulations and institutions for fighter health, to curb extreme weight cutting, then that's not going to happen. Max is going to keep trying to go to 145 because he's made it before. And he's a big guy at 145. Same with Brian Ortega. Both those guys cut a massive amount of weight. But it is what it is, unfortunately. But again, tabling that, it is a fantastic fight. It is clearly the fight to make in the division if both guys are healthy. If they can both make it to the fight in one piece. But that's a question mark. That's an asterisk. Can that happen? Do we get Max Holloway in the cage at UFC 231, or do they need a alternate? Are they going to need someone to sort of call up to replace him at some point? All concerning factors here. But speaking a little bit back to Saturday's event, Justin Gaethje calling out Motown Phenom, a.k.a. Kevin Lee, and Al Iaquinta, saying on Twitter, I better fight Motown Phenom or Al Iaquinta before they even think about fighting each other. Al backed out, and Kevin is next. Oh. Yes. I said it, I think on Saturday's show I said it, that Kevin Lee, Justin Gaethje is the fight to make. It makes the most sense. If you're looking at the lightweight division, that those guys are coming off wins. They're highly ranked, and no one else really in that, sort of ranking range is A, free and doesn't have a fight, or B, coming off a win. They do. So match them up. It makes the perfect sense to do. And I think they're looking at the UFC on Fox card, the very last one in December, I believe it is, per Ariel Helwani. I think that makes probably the most sense in the world. Remember, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. Mookie Alexander coming out with the ratings report for UFC Lincoln. It averaged a little bit more than the 532,000 over at Top Rank. They did 596,000 viewers average on FS1. Again, poor rating for an event that I'm kind of shocked did that poor of a rating. It is what it is. Again, I kind of talked about it again with the Ray Beltran, Jose Pedraza. Just revert back to those points. It's also, I think, sort of relevant to the UFC card as well. And then obviously the oversaturation debate in MMA has been long talked about. I think boxing is going to get that soon. I hope everyone out there all the boxing fans that usually don't tune into the MMA portion, who are maybe tuning in now, I'm glad you are, because listen very closely. In about a year or two, you will see on almost every website and every podcast them debate that there is too many boxing cards. That will happen. I've seen it happen with MMA. When they went from, let's say, 24 to 30-something UFC cards, maybe another 10 to 15 cards a year that you really care about, to then 50-plus UFC cards, and then another 20, 30, 40 other cards a year that you need to think about. And then, hold on, we got a UK caller, and I know it's over there in the UK, and it's going to cost some money. Hello, caller from the UK. Who is this?
Hey, man, JD Mac.
JD Mac, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I've been trying to work out how to call you, Gay.
Yes. For future reference, JD Mac, email me, mixedcombatradio@gmail.com, and I'll get you a free call-in link that's different than Skype, but that I can work. But for right now, since you are, actually calling in via your phone and probably spending some money, get through all your points if you want. You can go on a rant, whatever it is, and I'll take any questions you want off air or when you get off the phone line.
Yeah, that's why I was in the comment section and I asked you how to contact you on Skype. You said you didn't have the Skype, so yeah. Hey, look, it's like this. I followed you over from TBV, and the Joshua. I know you've moved on to like the MMA thing, but the Joshua and the Deontay Wilder debacle. You seem like you're on the same page as you were a couple of months ago. How's that?
What do you mean by the same page?
Hello?
Define that same page.
Well, things have changed. Things like we now know more than we knew then. Like with the Frank Warren and the Finkel recent interviews that basically told us it was always a game and it was a no-go. But you seem to still be on the same page that AJ's ducking.
I have never said AJ's ducking. And I also would say that we don't know anything different now than, let's say, a few months ago. We knew what the offer was between Wilder and, to AJ. We knew AJ didn't accept that offer. We knew then it came to a $15 million flat fee that was accepted. We knew then it came down to a date and venue that was not agreed upon. All that stuff has not changed due to the Frank Warren interview.
Well, basically, yes, I think it has, because we now know that the money was to be raised, because like Frank Warren has now said it's not 50 million, it's pushed up to 80 million. So you now have the narrative of people saying AJ turned down 80 million because Frank Warren said so.
But you misheard. It was 50 million for the first fight and then another 30 million for the second fight. It was 80 million total for 2 fights. It wasn't 80 million for one fight.
But Frank Warren is still maintaining. Yes, but absolutely, I agree. But Frank Warren is still maintaining that he turned down 80 million. And now the narrative is being spun on YouTube that AJ turned down 80 million to fight Wilder.
Okay. Well, AJ turned down $50 million. Whether or not the $30 million on top of the second fight, that doesn't matter. The $50 million for the first fight is stay the same. And that news and that information has never changed.
Which we also now know that from Frank Warren's come out and said, and Finkel's confirmed that money was to be raised by BT Sport, which would have made it impossible to for Anthony Joshua to take that fight without breaking his contract with Sky.
Yeah, but Frank Warren, you think Frank Warren's being 100% honest with that statement?
Well, Finkel verified it on the TBV interview when it was in London.
Finkel verified that they spoke to Frank Warren about the option of going to BT Sports, but AJ was never was a free agent from Sky Sports. That never happened. So why would that would make zero sense?
So it's impossible for him to take that $50 million without breaking his contract with Sky.
Yes. But then again, that's only if the $50 million is only from BT Sports, which I highly doubt. I think that's a PR narrative. I think that's a PR narrative from Wilder and Shelley and Frank, which is fine, but that's a PR narrative.
Okay, granted. Let's say you're correct. But they actually also said the part of the 50 million, or if not all the 50 million from BT Sport would have been based on BT Sport showing that fight. That's impossible.
Okay, and you think Al Heyman and co. never had a $50 million offer that was attached to Sky Sports?
Well, we've not heard anything from Al Heyman through this debacle. It seems like Wilder's sat in the airport and say it's in the bag.
Exactly.
Al Heyman has not said a word.
He never will. Al Heyman never says a word.
No. Granted, Finkel has, which is Deontay's manager, and now we know that Frank Warren was also involved. And Finkel has not denied. Actually, he's verified what Frank Warren said. I think, okay, Frank Warren kind of threw them under the bus because Frank Warren could have just kept quiet.
But JD,
my personal opinion, he could have kept quiet.
Sorry,
but
go.
He had to let Eddie know and everybody know that he put one over on Eddie.
But
my opinion.
I think we always need to keep in mind that Shelley Finkel is now doing business with Frank Warren. So it's in his and his client, a.k.a. Deontay Wilder, it's in their financial duty and obligation to sort of go along with Frank Warren here. And plus, you have to remember, it is now Wilder and Fury versus AJ and Eddie Hearn. You have to understand that that's how it's been framed. That the fight that is Wilder and Fury is made purely despite AJ. It is. And I think Shelley and Frank Warren's interviews in the media, I think, perpetuate that. I think they have figured out that, hey, we can all get on the same PR page and shit on AJ and Eddie because it's easy. Because guess what? You can't prove anything we say. You can't. We don't see any contracts. The public has never seen a single contract.
That's fair. So basically, are you actually saying that you believe that Finkel and Eddie are lying about the $80 million
I think
two-deal offer and the money was coming from some of the money, if not all of the money, was coming from BT? Are you actually saying that you believe they're lying?
I believe they're lying about the BT part. I think the $50 million has always been true. Like Eddie has said it's true. Shelley says it's true. There's no reason to think the $50 million is not there. Now, is BT Sports directly involved in the $50 million? The $50 million's only linked to BT Sports? I think that's bullshit. I think that's only because they're doing business with BT Sports right now.
Look, granted, I did say some of it, if not all of it, and don't even get it twisted. If you think like HBO, Showtime, and the rest of them, they're big, none of them don't compare to BT Sport. BT Sport is bigger than all of them. So BT Sport could have come up with the $50 million quite easy. They just launched a platform, and a boxing platform.
I'm not questioning that. But I question Shelley and Al Heyman and them trying to go behind AJ's exclusive UK television rights holder and try to make a deal that way. That seems like bad business. That seems like dumb business. So I don't believe that.
I agree.
I don't believe that.
Let me ask you this straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you don't believe it's that because you trust in them so much and their integrity that you don't believe they would do that, even though they admitted that they did?
It just makes zero sense. Like from a logical standpoint, to do that, it makes zero sense. If you put themselves back, let's say 4 months ago, right? Let's say it's April or May, right in the heat of AJ Wilder negotiations. It would have made zero sense at that time to go over to the rival network of Sky, a network that AJ is not signed to try and make a deal that way. It just makes zero sense. Now throw yourselves today. Now you're working with BT Sports. You're working with Frank Warren. Why is it's so easy now to go that extra step as Shelley Finkel and go, yeah, we're totally worked with BT Sports. That $50 million offer was directly linked to BT Sports. Yeah, Frank Warren's right. You're already doing business with them. It makes sense. And then there's no actual accountability. There's no journalist that's going to go in there and actually investigate whether or not that's true. That doesn't happen in this sport. So there's no incentive not to lie.
Well, there's nothing to investigate because they admitted it. They said it. That's what it is.
No, but I think journalists, if journalism in boxing was legit, we wouldn't investigate stuff like that. Because when promoters and managers and network heads come out and give you a PR line, don't eat it up. Don't take it as face value. Whether it's Eddie, whether it's Frank Warren, whether it's BT Sports, whether it's Sky, whether it's Shelley, whether it's Steven Espinoza, whoever it is, never eat that shit up. It is PR potentially garbage meant to get you to buy their content.
With the big picture, if we look at the big picture, it would explain why all this tomfoolery has been going on over the past few months. If somebody was, let's say, even put it into conspiracy. I mean, I don't think it's a conspiracy because the guys have come out and told you basically this is how it was.
But I don't understand your point. Expound on that.
Well, basically, if it's a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. As in a conspiracy, as in, let's say, who are you talking about?
No. With Warren and Finkel, that started months ago.
Okay.
To screw around with Eddie Hearn and Joshua. Hence the reason a lot of it is being on social network. We've seen Eddie say, look, call me. Deontay, give me a call. Deontay, you saw the video of him using his fingers to pretend to call. Now that's why I call it tomfoolery. You understand?
No, I understand. I understand.
Now, why was all that going on instead of serious negotiations? And it would seem quite amusing to Deontay most of the times, instead of serious negotiation, which would go on behind closed doors. We're not hearing how the negotiations are going with Tyson Fury. None of that is on the internet. We've never seen it with Wilder, but we saw it with in this case, and now we find out it was all, well, tomfoolery. But you dismiss the fact that the guys who was the main part of the tomfoolery, I'll use the word tomfoolery, and we find out now the main man was behind is Warren, and he admitted it. When confronted, Shelley Finkel had to admit it, but you are point blank denying it and saying, no, that's not how it was. They're doing it because of this and because of that. Maybe it's just take it as face value as what it is.
Yeah, I think you're taking it as face value. You're taking Shelley and Frank Warren's words for face value and interpreting it as such. I am saying, with the way the timeline is, it makes perfect sense if you're Shelley, post the negotiations with AJ. Remember, at this point, AJ is signed to Povetkin. Things have moved on. Now you've approached Tyson Fury. And then Frank Warren goes on a pre-fight press conference and says that thing about BT Sports and such, goes on TalkSport, wherever he went, and said what he said. And then now you're Shelley and you get asked about it. I think it's incentivized to go along with that. You're doing business with them. You're trying to do business with them. I don't think that was a conspiracy happening months ago by Shelley and Frank Warren to, as you were tomfoolery with the negotiations with AJ. I don't think that. I think the negotiations with AJ that happened in April and in May. Hold on. Let me finish. That happened in April and May. I think those are legit negotiations that failed and that fell apart. What's happening now is different. This is PR.
When Tony Bellew confronted Frank Warren on talk radio in England and said to him that when Frank Warren said it was 80 million, blah, 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 and I've seen the contract, blah, blah. And Bellew said, no, how could you have seen a contract that has nothing to do with you? And Finkel has admitted that, yes, Hearn was a part of the negotiations, and he did inquire. I use the word inquire, it's the wrong word. Collude. I prefer that word. He did collude with Eddie Hearn concerning negotiations, with Frank Warren. Frank Warren actually said that. Basically, I think he was saying that Finkel seek assistance from him with it. I call it collude.
I think we may differ on the timeline, but I think semantically, that's all we differ on is semantics. I think Shelley and Frank Warren are completely together in terms of PR optics. I think it is purely that. I think it is purely PR moves.
Well, semantics is potato. This isn't semantics. This is a matter of a difference between whether you believe in Hindu, you believe in Christianity, you believe in Muslim, or you believe in Deontay Wilder. You clearly believe in Deontay Wilder.
How do I clearly believe in Deontay Wilder?
Is this
how do I
opinion? We all have an opinion.
No. I don't understand.
You have the same opinion.
JD, I don't understand how you come to that opinion of my opinion that I am on Wilder's side. You do understand that Wilder's fans think that I'm on AJ's side, right? You don't understand that.
They don't. No, they don't.
They do. What are you talking about?
No, they don't.
I've had people comment on my videos and comment on the live chat all the time how I support AJ. How I'm an AJ fanboy. I back Eddie Hearn.
On the boxing voice, you didn't quite really defend the thing. You saw stats, accurate stats, but opinion-wise, you was always pro Wilder, man.
Well, yeah, I like Wilder. I like AJ.
Basically, you're showing it now that you're pro. I'm not saying you don't like AJ. You're showing you're pro Wilder because, it's all been tomfoolery over the past couple of months, and it didn't make any sense. And now the story is unfolded, and the people behind the conspiracy have actually admitted it, and you're still not feeling it. I mean, I take place. You believe in Hindu, you believe in Muslim, you believe in Christianity, but belief and reality is two different things, my friend.
JD, I don't understand how you come to that conclusion, to be honest. I feel like I have supported AJ and Eddie in this entire debacle a lot. And on top of that, I've always been of the stance that this all doesn't matter. You know why? Because AJ's fighting Povetkin, Wilder's fighting Fury. So this talk about the $80 million offer, $50 million offer, who was it? BT Sports? Was it? It doesn't matter anymore. It clearly doesn't. Both guys have moved on. That entire negotiation process for that contract is dead. They're going to need to find a new negotiation process for a new contract. So I feel like this is an old topic as well. I get it. I understand that there's maybe some value to finding the facts in this, like having an actual consensus truth to this situation. So years down the line, we can address it properly. I understand that, but also it doesn't in the long term. This doesn't matter. It just doesn't.
All right, I tell you why it matters right now. Because there's a April date. And let's just say it was all tomfoolery on Wilder's people's part, because Eddie Hearn never put the blame at Wilder. He just said after he knew what was going on, but Eddie didn't put it out there. Eddie never puts anything out there until after the other side has put it out, then he verified. He actually said he doesn't believe Wilder's people are telling him the truth. He believes Wilder wants to fight, but he doesn't believe that Wilder's people want to fight. Now I know why he was saying that, because he didn't believe that because Wilder was getting emotional and getting upset over it. And now we know why Eddie believes that Wilder didn't know that Warren and Finkel were screwing around. But I tell you why it still matters, because there's a April date. Will that date happen? And if it doesn't happen, whose fault is it? The date is there.
But see, in my mind, that's a different negotiation process. Like, that's a different contract. Like, Wilder's already said, like, I'm not taking that $15 million for September or October, whenever it was. I'm not taking that deal anymore for April. It has to be a new offer, a new deal. So we're already at square one again. We're already at square one again.
So, do you agree we're at the 50-50 again? Like, we was at 50-50 months ago. Now we're back to the 50-50, as according to Wilder. You agree with that?
Do I think that he should get 50-50? No. Do I think we're now back to that point in the negotiation? Unfortunately, yes. And that is on Wilder's fault. That is, and I've talked about that. That Wilder saying 50-50 again was stupid and an awful PR move.
And that's twice he's done that.
Yes.
This guy really wants the fight to be unified champion. And
when you offer $50 million, when you offer $50 million, when you offer $50 million, you want the fight.
Sorry?
When you offer $50 million, you want the fight.
Sorry.
And Eddie has come out and said the money was legit. Eddie has come out and said the money is legit. Do we need to go back to every Eddie Hearn interview and clip those and where he says, yeah, the money's real. We don't worry about the money.
No, you don't, because let's assume I've listened to some of the interviews, and he's always said he don't doubt the 50 million's there. He's always said he never said the 50 million did not exist. As Joshua said, he ain't selling his soul for 50 million. Selling his soul would mean breaking his contract that he signed as a man. That's selling his soul for 50 million.
Okay.
50 million is tempting. Let's keep it real now.
No, then JD, we agree to disagree. We agree to disagree, JD. JD, we agree to disagree, man.
So we're not saying it didn't exist. We're just saying it came from BT. Now we know where it came from, BT Sport.
That's where you think it came from. That's where you think it came from. That's where you think it came from.
No, my friend, no. Not what I think.
Yes, it is what you think. It is what you think. It is what you think. You know why? Because we have no evidence. We have zero evidence to Shelley and Frank's words. We have zero. We don't have a single email. We don't have a single contract. We have zero. So you're going on a promoter's word for face value. JD, I've told you this how many times? Don't take a promoter's words for face value. What are you doing? Taking a promoter's words for face value. Why?
All right. Can I put it like this? No, can I put it like this? I personally have not seen no proof that the 50 million exists in the first place. We're taking promoters' words, which you're now telling me we shouldn't do. We're taking Deontay's word.
But we're taking two different sides. So, JD, come on. JD, that is such a bankrupt argument, and you know it. You know why? You know why it's a bankrupt argument? Because when you talk about Frank Warren and Shelley,
tell me what.
And you talk about Frank Warren and Shelley and them agreeing to something, they're on the same side of the negotiation table. Not Frank Warren. Okay, Shelley, hold on. Let me finish. Shelley and Eddie Hearn. Shelley and Eddie Hearn on different sides of the negotiation table. So when they both come up and say, yes, this is real, then it most likely is real. Do you understand that concept?
But there's no argument that it was real. But it was coming from BT Sport. We have no argument. I'm not arguing that it wasn't real. I mean, you cannot believe that.
So Eddie has come out. Has Eddie come out and said? Has Eddie come out and said the offer was from BT Sports? Has he come out and said that?
Yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
Eddie has. That the 50 million offer was from BT Sports. Send me a link, JD. Send me a link, man. Send me a link because we've been talking for a bit. You're on international. This has probably cost you a pretty penny. So I'm gonna hang up on you, JD. Please call again. Email me that link to where Eddie agreed with Shelley and Frank, because from what I've seen, they said that is not true. Every time I've seen Eddie talk about Frank Warren, he said that Frank Warren is talking out of his ass. So please send me that link. And also, please email me because I need that free international call-in link so you don't have to call in via this way again. Because I know that did probably cost you some money, and we did debate for a while. But remember, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. But let's get into it. Or at least the rest of the news as we sort of wrap up the day. And oh my God, me and JD were debating, and now we have to get to this Twitter beef. Oh, and it's such good Twitter beef. Bruce Buffer versus Nate Diaz. A beef I never thought I was going to have to talk about. But goddamn, it's so fucking entertaining. Per Bruce Buffer, let me get the dramatic music out. Yes. Yes, for all the people hating on the dramatic music, it is coming out as I find it. Yes, dramatic music. Bruce Buffer saying to TMZ, I believe, Nate, I heard you made $7 or more million in your last fight. I don't want to hear you complaining about being underpromoted by the UFC. You should be thanking the UFC and bowing to Dana White every time you see him. Arya Emanuel, Patrick Whitesell, you got $7 or more million gross before taxes, maybe much more, which I love knowing that you have, Nate. Please, I don't want to hear any more complaints. Oh gosh. So like obviously that happened, and I would say that I was kind of shocked by that. And then Nate came out with the fucking, what is it, the F5 from the ropes. I don't know pro wrestling. I apologize. Came out on Twitter saying, "Oh, let me get the dramatic music out again." Saying, "Bruce Buffer, what the fuck?" Oh God, let me get the gunshots. Get off the UFC nuts. You're bowing down White now, telling me to bow down. Fuck that, you keep bowing down. I bow to no one ever. For all the money in the world, ... But yes. I mean, I don't have much to talk about this. It's just funny to me. But Bruce Buffer, for being a corporate shill, let's get some louder gunshots for you, buddy, because you deserve it. Because that's some Tom. Oh God, that's so loud. I felt like that was some tomfoolery, as JD would say, over there from Bruce Buffer. And then Nate Diaz coming back with the, I think, awesome clapback, which I think was deserved. It's ridiculous to say bow down to your corporate overlords. Like that's fucking ridiculous. So Bruce Buffer, I hope like Breakfast Club gives you Donkey of the Day or some shit, because that's, God, that was just fucking atrocious. Let's move on to some more news as we sort of wrap up the show. Remember, call in 323-870-4051 to get in. Call in, press 1, talk about anything. As you can see, me and JD talked about AJ Wilder from months ago. You can call in and talk about anything. I'll debate a lot, let's be honest. Moving on to some more news and announcement. Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich in the works for UFC's ESPN debut. Just good fight. That's all I'm going to say about it. Because I do want some sponsorships someday. Antonio Carlos Jr. out of UFC Sao Paulo against Elias Theodora. And also just another another Brazilian falling out of the event. I think all they have now is Lil Nog and Thiago Santos, who filled in for, I think, another Brazilian to fight Jimmy Manuwa. It's going to be interesting to see sort of what they can do with that, if Elias can stay on the card. Fat Apple saying, Matt, what's the best boxing fight you have ever seen? Wow, ever seen? Huh. I got some like personal favorites. Well, let me go to my screen because I'm talking now. Like Diego Corrales, Luis Castillo. That was like a personal one for me. I remember watching that like growing up. Not growing up. When was that? God. 04, 05? Nah. Maybe it was later, 06. Well, he died. When did Diego Corrales die? 07? Oh, I could be wrong on that that year time. But that's one of those that I remember like growing up and seeing and like being enthralled by it. Probably not the best overall one I've seen though, because I've seen some old fights that was amazing. Dr. Mofongo echoing that, saying Castillo Corrales won. Yeah, I mean that was just a fantastic fight. That was a 10th round. I still think it's probably one of the best rounds I've ever. Let's be honest. Sample King asking what you think about Monroe Jr. calling out Charlo, Matt. I was going to talk about this actually, but I felt like no one cared because it's Willie Monroe Jr. And I feel like that's kind of harsh. I know Willie is a good friend at TBV who I used to work for, and I've interviewed him quite a few times. Good guy. But he just has never really connected with the fans, I would say. He kind of has a really boxing-first style. Charlo, I think, is the antithesis to that. You know, and plus, Willie Monroe Jr. to me is not the fight I want to see for Jamal Charlo. Like, I'm ready for Jamal to fight somebody better than that, if that's possible. I know that just with the way the division's looking right now, it may not be likely, but that's what I would want. I would want to see Jamal Charlo fight the winner of Jacobs Derevchenko, Blader Saunders, Demetrius Andrade. Like, those are fights that really interest me for Charlo going forward. Hell, even, I don't know if this is true, but like a David Lemieux, a Spike O'Sullivan winner. Maybe obviously not the pure boxer that Willie Monroe is, but in terms of entertainment, better fight. And plus, I think if David Lemieux wins that, I think he sort of bounces back from that really embarrassing loss to Billy Joe. Because remember, I think a lot of people, including me, always talking about David Lemieux as that perennial top 10 guy, top 5 guy in the division. That just clearly wasn't that level to be a champion and a long-reigning one. So that's how I sort of view it. I think Willie is, now that he's with Heyman, obviously could get the Charlo fight. It should be easier to make. But I don't know if he gets it. And I don't know if it's the fight that makes the most sense if you're Charlo. Bayside Boxing, I thought Billy Joe Saunders handled Monroe with ease. I completely agree with that. He did. Bad Apple saying plus Charlo never beat anyone, so Monroe, best name on his record. I wouldn't say that. I think J-Rock's a much better name. Austin Trout beat Miguel Cotto. Like, what are we talking about here, Fat Apples? Come on. Get off that haterade. Moving on to some more news. Actually, last sort of news of the day, and actually really sad news I unfortunately have to get to. Kid Yamamoto, who was a very prominent Japanese mixed martial artist, has been diagnosed with cancer. He's announced this via his Instagram page, which was in Japanese, so I can't read it. But as you're listening to this or watching on YouTube, at least you can see some highlights from Kid Yamamoto. And he was really one of those guys, even though he really had a flat UFC run, he was a guy that sort of transcended the Japanese market. Him, Takanori Gomi, Shinu Ioka, a lot of guys, obviously like Sakuraba. Like Kid Yamamoto, obviously not as skilled as maybe some of those guys. He got to that level of exposure and stardom within the MMA world as those famous Japanese fighters did. And, he's just one of those guys, I think if you go back and look at his career, it's highly underrated. Cause I think a lot of people view him purely from the UFC side of it. Again, thoughts and prayers to him. Best wishes, good vibes. If you aren't religious out there, please, any sort of best wishes goes a long way. Good vibes in the universe does help, in my opinion. He is one of those guys where he held down Japanese MMA for a bit. And if you're listening to this show, you're not an MMA fan, you don't understand what that means. Japanese MMA is like Mexican boxing. It is integral to the culture, to the history of the sport, and it has such a huge base in the community. So a guy like Kid Yamamoto, who again was such a superstar in Japan, I think transcended quite well in the UFC, even though he had a great run. For him to sort of get diagnosed this way is just unfortunate. I've known, very close family members who dealt with cancer, died from cancer. I know a lot of us out there have. So again, prayers. I know it's sort of a sad, somber note to end the show on. You could call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 just to get in the queue. But sort of wanted to end on the show with this topic because again, Kid Yamamoto was a guy that I loved watching. I remember finding streams on torrent sites to watch his fights back in the day for K1 and Dynamite. And again, highlight reel knockouts over there in Japan. Always a fun fighter. But that seems to be it. Shout out to JD for calling in. Always fun. Again, email me, JD, for that link about Eddie Hearn. And I will send you a link to call in for future shows for free. Because I know we talked for quite a while. And that probably cost you a pretty penny, which I do not apologize for. But, thank you. I do deeply appreciate it. And again, he talked about how he followed me from TBV. Most of you have. I appreciate that. We had a comment from, I think it was Prince Vito the other day, talking about how this isn't working. He basically said that this whole MMA and boxing thing isn't working. And I get it. Look, I understand there's a lot of you that are listening right now that follow me from TBV, that don't listen to MMA, don't watch about MMA, but this is what I want to do. This is my vision. This is my idea of creating something in the industry that's not really there. There's not a daily show / podcast for the combat sports fan. For the person that stays up late night watching streams over in Japan or in Eastern Europe or in Russia or wherever it is. The person that is watching on 2 different TVs, boxing and UFC, watching K1, watching Glory, watching Metamoris, watching Eddie Bravo Invitational, whatever it is in combat sports. I want to make a show that's dedicated to you. And again, that may not be you, but I hope that at least we cover stuff that you care about in this sphere, in this market. If that sounds like something you like, you appreciate, go donate. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. $1 a month gets you an extra podcast a week. And you get just more overall content, and you just help out the show. All money does go towards equipment. As you can see, we have updated the studio greatly since we started, or I should say starting MCR back up since I left TBV. Dr. Mafungo saying, do what makes you happy, Matt. Definitely agree with that, obviously. And if you can't donate, which I understand, it's 2018. The economy is not the greatest. I understand. Leave a like button or hit the like button. Share the show. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Write a review on iTunes. Those are always fun. I always read those. Whether it's 1 star, 2 star, all the way to 5 stars, whatever it is, I read them. So don't worry about that. And so far, you guys have had fun putting in weird names and offensive names that I have to read out. Thank you for that. Thank you. But yes, anyways. Follow on Twitter, MCR Radio Show. Mixed Combat Radio on Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, our radio, etc. Yes, leave a like, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow me at Matt Hunter MCR. Hipsters here, haters beware, and I'll be back tomorrow. Usual time this time. I know I was late today. I do deeply apologize for that. I'll be back regular time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. in the UK. Obviously, all of my loyal UK listeners. And also, this was just announced on Patreon, so you may not know over there on the free interwebs. But MCR's official clothing line has been ordered and made. Yes, yes. You know what that means? All Patreons are getting a free clothing item with their subscription to Patreon. So if you want to get that free shirt, that free merch, you got to get on Patreon right now, patreon.com/MixSummitRadio. You get a free item if you donate now. And also, if you want to get a free shirt, or not free shirt, if you want to get a shirt and pay for it, you can as well. We're going to unleash a website rather soon. That is in the works as well. So whenever that happens, there will be a store. You can buy merch from there and come in for that. But be back, like I said, tomorrow. Have a great day, or I should say great night. Peace.